handpiece tubing. This is actually going to be done live here. This is a pretty common job where we have a delivery unit here for a client, and the main issue here is that one of the hoses is getting stiff, and basically they keep fixing it up here. And what happens is it just gets shorter and shorter, and then pretty soon they're not able to do treatment. So the goal today is we're going to replace this tubing here to make it actually this long. And I'm going to walk you through all the steps that it takes to do this. Now, it might be different on your dental unit, but I'm just going to walk through a couple of key concepts that are going to help you be successful if you attempt to do this job. This is a somewhat it takes a little bit of skill, but I do believe if you have enough time and patience and some technical ability, that this is possible. Um, the core issue that happens is on these hand pieces, the the tubing gets stiff. And the way that you understand a dental handpiece is this: when you take off the actual coupler, this is a star coupler. What you're going to see is you're going to see basically five holes, but one of them is fake. So that top one right there, that guy is not really a hole. If you look down in it, you'll see that it actually terminates about half an inch in there. This actually makes room for a 5-pin connector, which this one actually is. So you see how there's like a, actually, no, never mind, it's not. This is just some of the couplers have like a power optic here, and there's actually a way for light to pass through there. But basically, the way that you're going to read this is there's essentially four holes. There's two bigs and two littles. Now, the little big hole is going to be your drive air, and then your big hole is going to be your exhaust. And basically, next to your drive air, the little big, is a small hole. That's going to be your water. Then the next one's going to be your air. So basically, your drive air and your chip air, okay, are exactly catty corner from one another. So it goes air, water, air. And that's how you kind of understand what's going on here. So whenever, we'll test this later and you'll see like where the water comes out and where the air comes out. But for right now, what happens is these hoses will become rigid, they'll break. The reason that happens is because on the big hole, the exhaust, handpiece oil goes in and actually causes the line to stiffen up, and then it will break right here. And so what happens is you cut it off, and then you can actually free all this plastic from the coupler, and you can actually re-terminate it. What we're going to do today is we're going to actually go ahead and switch the whole the whole tube here. So this is our roll of tubing, and we're going to actually put another terminal nut on. So I'm going to walk you through both phases of that. But for right now, we're going to look up here in the delivery unit head. And there's a couple things I want to point out. We have a little light here. All right, so this is an 8 It's called a Century 2 delivery unit. And the way this unit is there's basically your main block here, and then each one of these is for handpiece channel. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and in this case, this farthest left handpiece correlates with this. Now, when you're going to work on a handpiece, what you want to do is you want to find the one that's too short, or that you need to replace, which is this one, and you just jiggle it a little. When you jiggle it, it's going to become pretty apparent which one you're messing with. So something to keep in mind is as we get started on this is all the hoses are different. Each one has a special thing. And so you don't want to intermix the hoses because then you'll get, some kind of crazy problems. In this situation, go ahead and just look and see how there's that one hole that's that's open. It's actually, see how there's, let's see, that hole, I don't know if you can see it there. There we go. Okay, so that hole that's open, that's your exhaust. So if you hold the hose kind of like facing it, then like with the two big hoses, like at the, I guess the outside, you're gonna notice that this hose right here correlates with this hole right here, okay? So see how the bigs are on the outside? The bigs are on the outside. So that's the exhaust, which means drive air, and then that's how we're understanding what's going on here. So what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to, if you look these hoses are exactly the same in order, which is good for us because what that means is as you take this one apart, you actually have a sample. The sample is basically going to help guide your actions over here. So you basically make this one look like this one. Okay, so this is an any delivery unit. Everything is hooked up in rows and symmetrically. So you will have an example. So when you go to do this, you just do one at a time and then test them when you're done, and you'll be in good shape. So the first thing we have to do is we need to go ahead and disconnect this handpiece tubing. Now I'm going to use a special tool called the tack puller. These things are available on Amazon and they're awesome. It's like a little crowbar and the crowbar function of it, it's about the size of a screwdriver, okay? But it fits in very neatly and nicely. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hose here, and I'm just going to go ahead and free those tubes. This is called the tubing clamp or ferrule, and I'm just going to go ahead and free the ferrule, and I'm going to free the tubing. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing there, ferrule tubing, and then you might have to kind of work a little bit at it. Definitely be gentle, but you can also use pliers if you don't have this tool, but this tool makes it way easier. Now, I'm going to have to kind of get, this is just so awesome here, but I'm going to push from the side here and kind of push that one off down there, and then kind of just fight against that. Okay, so this is disconnected, all right? And this is essentially the tubing that we're going to replace here. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually replace the tubing first, and then we're going to cut it to length. Now, as I look at this tubing, I can actually see, I'm going to line these the same way, and we're going to have basically the tops towards my thumb, and then the littles are on the bottom. Okay, see how everything's kind of in that pattern? That's how it starts. So I'm going to use a tool here, Grandma Seam Ripper, and I'm gonna make this the same way it was before, which is a safe bet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the seam ripper and cutting away from my hand, I'm just going to go ahead and um, basically I'm going to penetrate, okay, right in there, okay? So see how when I do that, it's kind of misses everything? This is kind of what I'm going to do further back. So I'm going to hold these two in my hand, and I'm going to go ahead and poke it in there, and I'm just going to keep that right in the center, and I'm just going to slide it, and it's going to self-guide, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that up, and then in between the two small holes, I'm going to basically do something like that, okay? So I'm going to let that one go because I'm just focused on this right now. All right, so, and this is where you just gotta, all right, so that's in the middle there, okay? And then see, as I push up on it, okay, it's just gonna cut. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the sides. And so this seam ripper, I think I actually got it from Walmart. You can get one from any store that has um, that has a sewing department. And notice like how you can kind of just like plot where you want to go, and that's how that's going to go. So basically, we freed those four. Okay, we cut them the exact same. So I'm going to put the seam ripper down, and I've got my sad set of scissors. I think I actually broke my scissors the other day, so I have a special set of scissors. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off the exhaust. And what this is going to do, I'm just going to cut it at a little bit of an angle, is by cutting the exhaust off, now I have the orientation correct. So we're going to take all these pieces and move them over. And we're going to move this guy over. Now I'm going to try to put that on, and these actually are going on just fine. What we're going to do is pull those on, and they're just going to be kind of ready for use on there. This is the easiest place to do it. It's not easy to do this actually inside the unit. So um, one thing I'll say is sometimes these don't go on as easy. So there's two things you can do to make this life easier on your life. You're going to take your scissors, and what you can do is you can just cut off that little extra piece right there, and that'll make that narrower. So if you do that, this should slide on easier. Now that one actually just slides straight on, which is nice. The other thing you can do is twist with your fingers. So we're going to push that, twist that, get that on there. And now here is kind of our finished, or at least prepared. So we're going to take the handpiece tubing and we're going to push it up through the hole where it was. And let's see here. All right. So now this is the hard part. All right. So we got this in place, and now we need to get the tube completely on, which is here. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to show you how to use, I'm going to use my set of pliers. So I'm just going to grab my pliers there. All right, great. All right. So pliers works pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the one the furthest away from me. And we're going to just go ahead and take that, shove that on to that guy. And I'm just going to shove. And what I'm doing is I'm just moving it around. Now, this is something you got to be a little bit careful for. Those are awesomely dirty. Um, what you have to be careful for is that you don't, like the pliers don't actually come and smash the plastic against the barb. You can make a cut in that accidentally. Um, now, this next little trick, let's see if I can spin this out of the way. So what I'm going to do, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but what I'm going to, because this is such a tight delivery unit, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my finger and I'm going to bend the tubing and shove the tubing. Let's see here, get a lot better position. I'm going to take and I'm going to kind of fold the tubing here like that. And I'm going to bend it at a 90-degree angle, like so. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'm going to shove this whole thing. And what that's going to do is apply tension to the tube, and that's going to allow it to go all the way on the barb. Okay, so see how that's like bent over? And I'm just going to shove as hard as I can with my finger. Now, if I go ahead and move this ferrule back, I want you to see this because you can't slack on this part of the job. Um, all right. Okay, so that's perfect. You see how that is all the way on? That's all the way on the the barb. All right. So it's all the way on there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use this other tool called, I call it the finger saver. Oh, there we go. All right, so here's the finger saver. What this is actually a clamp pusher and tubing clamp pusher. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and this actually slides right over that. Actually, I just noticed mine was smashed. I don't know how that happened. How did that happen, Kyle? I don't know. All right, so anyhow, straight it up. Give me a pair of pliers. There we go. Okay, so this is going to slide over, and now I'm going to use the handle and apply pressure, and that's going to just slide all the way up against the barb. So that's correctly installed. Okay, so now, now that that's done, we're going to we're going to look at the next side over here, and we'll see that the one, okay, so it goes, remember how it goes air, water, air? So the one next to it is going to go to this. So that's water, okay, on that side. Water is going to go to that one, okay? So we're going to get our pliers again, and maybe. All right, we're gonna use the pliers, and then I'm just gonna kind of try to, I might have to get a little bit closer, and just gotta be so careful not to create another problem. Okay, so there we go. And I'm gonna try to get it as much as I can. Um, Actually, I'm gonna try. So we'll take this, we'll slide that up a little further, and then I'm gonna put those up against that and see if I can apply pressure like that. Oh, that actually works pretty nice there. Okay, so that's most of the way on. And then, like I said before, I'm gonna take this and bend it, maybe. And I'm gonna push. Oh yeah, that's so nice. All right, so that's most of the way on. Now I'm gonna use the other side for 1/8 clamp, just like that. And I'm just gonna shove that on, just like so. All right, which leaves one more, which is this one. All right, and this one is actually the easiest one to get to. So I'm just gonna take my fingers, and some delivery units have a much easier access. This one does not. You're just gonna keep working it until it gets all the way on there like that. Okay. Now, get that on there. All right. Okay. Just like so. All right. So this part of the job is done. So now what we have to do is we've got to measure the new hose. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hand on that, okay, and basically put tension on it. And then I'm going to take the old one out here. That's done. So we're going to put tension on it and then pull the other one up into place, and that's going to give us the estimate of where we cut it. So I'm going to just pinch with my fingers, and that's where we're going to cut it. So take our scissors and just cut it straight as possible. All right, so that's what that looks like now. So the last thing that we need to do, the last thing we're going to do is replace the terminal nut, which is right here. Now, there's a couple little tricks for this. One of them is that one of the tricks is hot water. Okay, you can soak this in hot water, and then it makes it easier for these little barbs to go in place. I'll put this here so you can see a little better. So those barbs, they all line up with where they go, and the two bigs and the two smalls, they'll just go like that, and that'll maintain the same orientation. The other thing that we can do is use a little bit of alcohol, which typically in a dental office, there should be alcohol around. So I'm gonna just come right over here, even, let's see, there is sometimes alcohol around. Let's see. Alcohol or hand sanitizer, and I'm not sure. I didn't plan this part out. So hang on a sec, Kyle, and I will be right back. All right, here we go. Alcohol, huh? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna saturate this with alcohol. Now the reason alcohol, just because if there's any germs, it's gonna kill them. And it's also gonna provide a lubrication for this to go on. So this is one of the best ways I found to do it. So I'm just gonna spray a little bit of alcohol on there, and it's just a little saturated. And then what I'm gonna do is the big barbs are longer. So we're just gonna put the big barbs in first. Okay, like so. Get those started. Okay, like halfway or better. And then what we're gonna do is the two aren't started yet. Now this is critical because if you miss these, water is gonna go places you don't want it to go. So we have to make extra sure that all four barbs get where they want to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently kind of pull back, and then I'm going to just pick one tube, not both, just one. And then I'm going to try to get that one. I'm actually going to start with that one. Okay. And maybe I went too far. All right. So you just basically want to get the two big ones, I guess, just started then. And then just going to get the one side started like that. Okay, it's kind of in there. Then you're going to go back and you're going to do the last one. And then see, that's exactly what you don't want. All right, so that one started. And then here, we'll try and get that one started. All right, now I can look in that little gap right there and see that there's rubber surrounding each one of the barbs, even though they're just starting. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take and I'm going to try to advance those a little bit. Then I'm going to pull back, shove in, pull back, shove in. All right. And what that's going to do is center that barb inside that plastic, that little poly tube. And this is the part where you can't cheat. You got to really make sure that these are all the way in there. And the reason for that is that if you miss the hole or you don't put it on all the way, pretty soon you're going to be pulling on the handpiece and it's going to come off. Or like I said earlier, all these things are going to be, they're not going to come out. So, all right, I'm going to turn on the compressor because I think we forgot to do that. So, I'll be right back. So, all right, while we're waiting for the compressor, these are the parts that I'm using here today. So the terminal nut is part number 120T from DCI, and then the roll of handpiece tubing is 432R. It's normally part number 432. That's the one that comes with the terminal nut already installed on it. But I do the roll because I can actually cut it to length, and I like this a lot better. Um, let's see, what else can I tell you? These are the tools that are super handy, of course, in alcohol. That's, really makes this process easier. The other thing is for gaining access to this panel, this is the screwdriver that we used. So this is actually this is a 6-in-1 screwdriver, and this is one of my tools that I like using. It's basically what makes it special is there's 4 screwdrivers, okay, and then there's actually there's two nut uh, two nut wrenches, or why is the name escaping me? Anyhow, nut drivers, okay. And so this nut driver here actually interfaces. It actually goes onto these barbs that are on this unit. And then, so that's a 1/4 inch nut driver, and this is the 5/16, and this one is actually good for cabinets, I'm sorry, clamps under cabinets and things like that. So I use this to access the top of the unit here, and then the other thing that you may encounter are basically Allen screws, And so you're going to need a set of Allen wrenches, and these are standard and metric. And so those are really valuable tools for gaining access, because even though certain, like right here, you have Phillips screws, places like over here, you actually have like Allens. So there's kind of a mixture. Now, hopefully, okay, so our compressor just turned off. And now we're going to go ahead and turn this unit on. Okay, so that's on. And so this is channel 1. And so this is the control for the channel. So all the controls are in line with. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the water. And actually, first we'll run it without the water. So I'm going to find the foot pedal, which is over here, I think. All right. Okay. So now what I'm expecting is before anything happens, I'm expecting for air to come out of the little big hole as well as the one that's catty corner. So I'm going to step on this. Okay. And you can kind of see how it's indenting my finger a little bit, maybe. No, you can't see it. Okay. Well, I can feel that it's coming out of that one. Hear how it's, okay. So I know it's coming out of that hole, which is the right hole. So the other way that we're going to test it is we're going to put this, okay. So this coupler right here is a low speed coupler. So if I put that on, there's no hole right there, so water's not going to come out. So the first test we're going to do is without water. We're just going to make sure that it turns the handpiece that was on it. Okay, so we'll set it to forward, and then we'll take off nose cone. All right, now stepping on this. Okay. If you get everything backwards, your first symptom is going to be that, especially if you switch to two bigs, that your handpiece won't turn. So if you step on this and you just hear an air noise and something, double check and make sure you got everything right. But right now that is successful. And then what we'll do is there is a thing that I'll show you called a handpiece pressure gauge. All right, and handpiece pressure gauge. What this does is it goes in between the handpiece and the handpiece and the hose. So put that on there, and then this is fitting identical to what's there. And this is a great part to have because every single handpiece is rated to run at a certain pressure. And this is how you make sure that it's at that pressure. So this is, so we're going to step on this and the gauge is going to tell us where it is. And that's at about 30 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to take my 3/32 Allen wrench because I know that's what that is. And right in here for this particular channel, there's a little hole. And I'm going to stick that Allen wrench inside that hole like so. Now I'm going to adjust this while watching the gauge. Maybe. Okay, I'm just going to turn it, and that's going to go up to about 35 pounds of pressure. You can adjust it down, you can adjust it up. So this is how, on this particular unit, you adjust the pressure. So we're at about 35 pounds of pressure, which is where you want it. Okay, so we're done with that. And if you're curious what, if you're curious what your handpiece pressure should be at, you can read the manual for the handpiece itself. And if you want to know how to adjust the pressure on your unit, you can read the manual for the actual delivery unit itself. So the pressure's good. Now the last thing that we have to check here is making sure that water comes out as it should. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little drinking cup. And I don't see one. Uh, Here we go. All right, I'll show you. Um, so what I'm going to do here is basically turn the water on, and I think also, let me check here. So the water's on. I don't know if we have water in the bottle. We'll see. Let's. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so no water. So now I'm going to turn the little water toggle on. All right. My bottle might not have water in it, so let me double check that. We do have water. All right. Well, that's fun. All right. So let's see. Oh man, that's not good. I'll have to fix that one later, Kyle. That's a problem. All right. Okay. So we got water there. Interesting. All right. Well, here, let's try. Maybe it's just working. That's awesome. I just made a bunch of water. So here, let me dump this out so I don't give myself a bath. All right. Let's try this again. All right. So we're going to open up that water and. All right. Open it up a little bit more. So there we go. Okay. Now, see how, okay, water's coming out. Okay. So as I said earlier, we basically have dry air, we have water, chip air, and then the exhaust. So we just double checked this, everything was done correctly. And now the problem has been resolved. So all three of these are the same length. So thanks for joining us today for this live repair session. If there's anything that you would like to see us cover in a live format like this, definitely we're happy to do that. And thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a really great day.